were you born?
Bronx, New York. I lived in the epicenter of hip-hop.
I think very deeply. I think very deeply. I think very deeply.
The sounds you're about to hear is some cool DJ Red Alert on 98.7 Kiss FM. Hey, Daddy, start it off like this.
What was Violator?
Violators consist.
What year did you start that?
It started in '86.
86.
I was DJing the club called Union Square.
Union Square.
And it was a couple guys that was coming down from the Bronx, and this is how they started off. They say, yo, Bam sent us down here because, I was on the Bambaataa, me and my cousin Jazzy and all of us. So I'm the next person extended from Bam, moving on, as I was on radio already on Kiss FM, and I started DJing at Union Square. So here's some guys coming down, one by the name of Chris, the other name by Dow, and a guy named Romeo. And they say, yo, Bam sent us down there. I know damn well Bam ain't sent y'all down there, but y'all wanted to follow through because y'all felt I was that next guy. So, I said, cool. So they started hanging around me. And then what it is that...
What did you like about these guys?
Well, I felt their vibe because, they Zulus.
Okay.
We all from the Zulu Nation on the Bam. So I felt their vibe, so here it is. They was going around talking to girls or seeing girls with guys, and they would just take over. They violated the guy. And that's how the start of Violators came.
So Violator was a gang at first?
It wasn't a gang. It was a crew.
A crew.
See, it's...
Baby Chris, that's what we called him before he was Chris Lighty. And he had a company called Baby Sounds before Violator. He was the original road manager for Jungle Brothers. And it was a good time when he came along because we had a big club single, Our House You.
Check this out. Girl, I'll house you. Girl, I'll house you.
And I kept us working 3 or 4 days. 3 or 4 shows a night from Wednesday to Sunday. There was a lot of logistics to deal with, a lot of crowds, a lot of people to deal with. And Lighty would just come through and tie up all the booking agents during the week, then give us the whole schedule on Wednesday, then get us to all the venues on time, then get us backstage, then go get the other half of the money before we went on. And if the promoter was trying to give us a check, he would make them go cash it. Just dealing with a lot of last minute logistics, and that's when hip hop was still getting organized. And Lighty was one of the people that was bringing organization and structure to the hip hop management and management of touring and live gigs and dealing with all the logistics for that. Here's one big valuable lesson that I learned from Chris Lighty, and that's what I call the drill. I developed it on my own in these past 4 years, and then it makes me think of Chris Lighty, and that is the drill. I call it the drill. Back in the day, you didn't know what to expect, what time you go on, what time to be at the meeting place, who to pick up the money from, how long the show should be, what's the set order, what's the distance from one venue to the next, and time management. These are things that I call the drill. And once you have the drill in place, then there's no guesswork. You just go in, your flight lands at 12 or 2, you go straight to the hotel or the sound check. Sound check is from 4 to 7. You set your mics up a certain way. You check that, make sure that's clear. You check out the green room, you meet with the staff. You go back to the hotel, Usually you go back on at 11. Doors open at 8 or 9. You go on at 11. You're off in 1 hour at 12. You know, and then you think about the next 4 hours in front of you, as far as if you have an early morning flight. If you don't, then you can take your pictures with fans and hang out and schmooze a little bit and sign autographs and stuff like that. But everything is calculated. Everything I do is calculated, you know, and I learned this from people with structure, you know, like Chris Lighty and other people like James Brown, Michael Jackson. People don't see it because they do it so gracefully. It's like having a grid in your head where you start at this point, you finish at this point, and then there's all this time that you use in between to make things flow naturally, you know. And then when the job's done, then you go back to the, you know, just letting things happen as they happen. But, you know, and it's good for me now because I don't let anybody waste my time, you know. And Lighty was the same way. He just was like on point with it. He wasn't geeking over crowds screaming and fans and all of that and promoters saying go to the back door, the front door. There was a drill, you know, and he was like a truck, an armored truck that would just come through and knock everybody into order. And that's what I do now because I don't want anybody wasting my time. And that's how you become successful.
I mean, Chris did a lot, man. And he was always on the move. He was always on the move, looking, scratching away at the surface, trying to see what was next, talking to us about our show. I mean, all types of things. And he was, you know, he had that big brother feel. And, I mean, he's a good dude, man.
Well, Chris Lighty was definitely from the school of hard knocks as far as this business is concerned. And he definitely had to battle a lot of battles he was fighting with people in the business and even within himself. I saw that. And, you know, before we used to say, you gotta go hard, Chris Lighty was going hard. And he was definitely looking out for a lot of people. You know, he was no slouch. And a lot of his work, I mean, the rewards he got, he deserves because he put others first before himself. He worked non-stop, constantly. We never had to worry about anything. You know, he's like, come on, this is me, man. You know, even with all the stress he had to deal with to make sure we got on stage and have no stress. He was the bodyguard. He was the road manager, the roadie, the driver, the tour manager, the office manager, you know, even the artist sometimes, you know. He was doing all these different things and networking with a lot of people. And yeah, it wasn't an easy job. It's very stressful when you put others before yourself.
When I heard he shot himself, I couldn't believe it because at that time, I hadn't really spoken to Chris. I was always available to get to Chris, but I hadn't spoke to him in actually it was a year because I had saw him a year before to tell him about us going to Africa. And yeah, when I heard he killed himself, I was crushed. I like cried. I think I was driving somewhere. I was in one part of town and I had to drive. It was probably about 45 minutes, and I cried all the way there. I had to talk to somebody, and I'm talking to him, and I start crying. I was like, damn. You know, you never really know sometimes. I mean, you know, you call yourself a big boy, but you know, when your big brother, your little brother die, it twists you like a wet rag. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe Chris Lighty killed himself. But, you know, like I said, I wasn't with him day in, day out like I was for many years. As a lot of people know in the business, it could get to you. It could cut your guts out. But to actually turn on yourself, I really don't think Chris would go out like that. It doesn't even fit his persona, not at all. You want a man to rest in peace, but it's so hard when you hear somebody going out like that, especially when you know him.
I'd rather sell 10 million records over 10 years than 10 million records once, because over the 10 years, I'll make other things happen off of that 1 million records I sold every year. You know, make a career of it, so you have nothing to lose as long as you're focused.